So, good day everyone. We are Group 6, who is assigned to discuss the topic about the Chapter 7, Culture and Morality. So, next slide. But before that, let me introduce myself and my group. I am Jeremy Ramos, the leader of our group. Next is Miss Cassandra Anita Perganan, Miss Naomi Ribon, and lastly, no other than Miss Shane Mary Cubilla. And next slide. And here's the table contents that we are going to discuss. So today, we'll start by talking about culture and morality. So two ideas that are very important in shaping how societies function and how people interact with one another. So culture is like a guide for how people in a group live. It provides the values, beliefs, and traditions that tells us what is important and what we should aim for. So morality, on the other hand, helps us decide what is right or wrong, fair or unfair. Together, culture and morality shape the way people live and make decisions. So, culture has a big impact on our views of right and wrong. For example, in some cultures, helping others and being loyal to your group is considered very important. In other culture, it's seen as better to focus on yourself and make your own choice. So, at the same time, morality gives cultural practices a sense of purpose. It helps people feel that their actions and beliefs are fair and just, which makes them easier to follow. For instance, rule about fairness or honesty often supports cultural tradition, making those traditions feel right to the people who follow them. So, culture and morality are deeply connected. So, they work together to guide how people live, how they treat each other, and how they build their communities. By understanding this connection, we can better appreciate why people from different countries sometimes have different ideas about what is right or wrong. So, next slide. So, here's the example of how culture and morality connect. So, in collectivist culture, like in many Asian, African, or South American communities, so people place a strong focus on the group. They believe that being loyal to your group, helping others, and taking responsibility for the well being of everyone is the right thing to do. For example, in families, people might share their income or take care of older relatives because they see it as their moral duty, like what we have in our own country here in the Philippines, like that. So on the other hand, in individualist culture, like in many Western countries such as the United States or parts of Europe, people focus more on personal freedom and independence. So in this culture, the beliefs is that individuals should make their own choice and follow what what they feel right about them. For example, it's common for the young adults, like 18 years old, to leave their home early and live on their own, as independence is seen as a sign of responsibility. So, like what we see when they turn 18, they are living out of their parents to live their life independently. So, this example show us how culture shapes morality differently. One what one culture sees as the right thing to do might not be the same in another culture. So, this diversity is what makes understanding culture is so important. So, next slide. Now, let's talk about the what is culture. So, culture is the collection of shared ideas, values, and traditions, and also behavior that define a group of people. So, it really includes different things such as language they speak, the religion they follow, and the art and the music they create, the food they eat, and the rules they follow in daily life. So, we don't automatically know about culture when we're born. It's something that we learn as we grow up. So our parents, teachers, and community teaches us how to behave, what to believe, and what is important about life. So This process is called socialization, so it plays a big role in shaping who we are and how we see the world. So culture is not fixed, it changes over time when people from different culture meet and share ideas and influence each other. So which can lead to change in traditions, beliefs, or even everyday habits. History, politics, and the economy also affects culture and its evolution. So next slide. So uh, culture is learn and study. So what we learn in culture or how we learn the culture. So culture is learned through a process called socialization, where we pick up ideas, behaviors, and values from the people around us. So parents teach children how to behave, teachers educate students about society rules, and community pass on traditions. So through this through this process, so culture becomes a part of our identity and shapes the way we think, act, and how we view the world. So culture is study on uh, different perspective by different fields, each offering a unique perspective. First is in anthropology, who looks at how people live and interact in different cultural settings. Anthropologists might study the rituals, customs, and daily lives of a group to understand how their culture works. In sociology, it focuses on uh, how culture influences society. Sociologists examine how cultural norms and values shape roles, relationships, and structures in a community. So in psychology, studies how culture impacts the way people think, feel, and behave. For example, psychologists might look at how cultural differences affects emotions or decisions making. So by studying culture, we can better understand the diversity of human experience. So it helps us to work together more effectively, avoid misunderstanding, and uh, here is we can build relationship across cultural boundaries. So uh, it shapes who we are, how we interact with each other, and how we make sense of the world. By learning about culture, we gain the tools to connect with others and uh, learn to appreciate the rich diversity of human life. So that's all for my topic. Now I'm calling Miss Borganan, the next reporter, to take the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Ramos. Good day, everyone. Today, I will be discussing the influence of culture in moral development and dynamics of culture. This concept will help us to better understand how culture shapes human behavior and moral reasoning. Let us start. Next slide, please. First is the influence of culture in moral development. Culture can have a significant influence on moral development. The beliefs, values, and practices of a culture can shape a person's moral outlook and influence the development of their moral reasoning and behavior. So, here are the ways culture can influence moral development. First is cultural norms. Cultural norms are the unwritten rules and the expectations that guide behavior within a culture. For example, in some societies, respecting elders is seen as a moral obligation, while in others, individuality and personal expression are prioritized. These norms shape our understanding of right and wrong, influencing how we interact with others and make decisions. Understanding these norms is essential because they provide a framework for moral reasoning and ethical behavior in a specific cultural context. Next is role models. People in a person's cultural environment can serve as a role models for moral behavior. In every culture, role models play a significant part in moral development. This could be parents, peers, teachers, or community leaders who exemplify values admired within the culture. For instance, a parent teaching honesty by being truthful in their daily interactions sets an example for children. Observing and emulating these role models, help individuals internalize moral values and apply them in their own lives. Next slide, please. Third is religious beliefs. It provides a set of moral principles and guidelines that are often deeply ingrained in a culture's traditions and practices. Religion is a powerful influence on moral development, as it provides a structured set of principles for distinguishing between right and wrong. Religious teachings often emphasizes virtues like compassion, justice, and honesty, which became deeply rooted in cultural traditions. For instance, practices like charity and forgiveness are emphasized in many religions, shaping moral actions within the community. Fourth one is cultural diversity. Exposure to different cultural perspectives can broaden a person's moral outlook and encourage the development of more nuanced and inclusive moral beliefs. For example, in some cultures, collectivism is valued, prioritizing the group's needs over individual desires, while others emphasize independence. These differing views can broaden our moral reasoning, encouraging inclusivity and a more nuanced understanding of ethical dilemmas. Cultural diversity promotes tolerance and reduces biases. Next slide. For the last one, socialization practices. The way that children are raised and socialized within a culture can have a profound impact on their moral development. Cultures that value obedience and conformity often socialize children to respect authority and follow established rules. Conversely, cultures emphasizing individualism may encourage children to make independent moral decisions. These practices determine how values like honesty, respect, or autonomy are prioritized during the moral development. Next slide, please. Next is the dynamics of culture. Next slide. Culture is a dynamic and ever evolving concept that is shaped by a variety of factors. We have several key dynamics. Number one is historical influences. Culture is influenced by historical events and developments, such as wars, revolutions, and migrations. These events have a lasting impact on cultural practices. For example, migration of communities often leads to the blending of traditions, creating new cultural identities. Similarly, revolutions can redefine societal values, such as the emphasis on the equality after civil rights movements. Understanding these historical influences can help us trace how cultures evolve over time. Number two is interactions with other cultures. Cultures are not isolated from one another, and interaction with other cultures can lead to the exchange of ideas, practices, and beliefs. Interaction between cultures fosters the exchange of ideas, beliefs, and practices. For example, global trade has introduced cuisines, fashion, and even languages to new regions, enriching local cultures. However, it can also lead to cultural assimilation, where one culture adopts elements of another, or even cultural clashes if differences aren't respected. Third is technological advances. Technological advances influence how people live, work, and interact with each other, which in turn can lead to changes in cultural practices and values. Technological advancements have reshaped how cultures function. Innovations like social media have not only changed communication but also influenced cultural values, such as how we perceive privacy or relationships. Technology bridges geographical gaps, allowing cultures to share and adopt practices rapidly. making cultural evolution faster ever than before. Next slide. Demographic changes. Demographic changes such as population growth, migration, and aging can have an impact on cultural norms and practices. For instance, in aging societies, values like caregiving and respect for the elderly became more prominent. Migration introduces new cultural elements to communities, creating more diverse cultural landscapes. These demographic changes highlight the adaptability of cultural norms. Number five is economic factors. Economic factors such as globalization, trade, and economic inequality can have an impact on cultural practices and values. These factors have a significant impact in cultural. For instance, consumer culture driven by global brands often influences local traditions, sometimes leading to a blending of cultural values. Economic inequality can also shape cultural attitudes, such as the emphasis on hard work in some societies as a response to economic challenges. Second to the last one is political factors, such as government policies, political ideologies, and power dynamics, can also shape cultural norms and practices. This plays a major role in shaping cultural norms. Government policies, for example, can promote cultural preservation through funding for arts and heritage. Conversely, political ideologies can suppress certain cultural practices. Understanding these influences help us see how power dynamics shape cultural evolution. Next slide, please. Last one is cultural diffusion. Cultural diffusion refers to the spread of cultural practices and beliefs from one group or society to another. This can occur through trade, migration, or other forms of cultural exchange. Cultural diffusion refers to the spread of cultural practices across societies. For example, cuisines like sushi or pizza have become global staples, transcending their origins. This diffusion can occur through trade, migration, or even media, and it highlights the interconnectedness. This concludes my report. Thank you so much, and I'm passing the floor to the next reporter.
Thank you, Miss Morgana. So now, imagine visiting a new country where people eat insects for dinner, or where women are expected to stay at home while men work. How would you react? Would you judge their customs as strange or not right? Or would you try to understand them within the context of their own culture? I am Naomi Ribon to introduce you to the concept of cultural relativism. Simply put, cultural relativism is the understanding of or judging a person's beliefs, values, and practices within the framework of their own culture. It's about recognizing that what might seem unusual or even unacceptable to us might be perfectly normal and acceptable within another culture. To be more clear, I provided some examples. Let's take food preferences as an example. In many Western cultures, eating insects might seem repulsive, but in some parts of the world, like Thailand, insects are considered as delicacy. Cultural relativism encourages us to understand that this is a matter of cultural preference, not right or wrong. Similarly, gender roles. Gender roles vary greatly across cultures. In some societies, men are the primary breadwinners, while women are responsible for domestic duties. In others, roles might be evenly shared. Next is marriage customs. Marriage customs also differ significantly in various cultures. Arranged marriage are common in some cultures, while in others, individuals choose their own partners. Even something as seemingly simple as nudity, attitude towards nudity. Nudity also has varying cultural interpretations. What is considered acceptable in one culture might be considered taboo in another. Ancient Greek and Roman art often featured nudity, while many contemporary societies have more conservative views on the subject. Lastly, is religious practice. Religious practices offer a wide range of examples like chanting, rituals, and shamanism are all part of different religious traditions. Now, it's important to acknowledge that cultural relativism can be criticized. One concern is that it can lead to moral relativism. The idea that all moral claims are equally valid regardless of their cultural context. This can be create this can create a different understanding where harmful practices such as female genital mutilation or human sacrifice could be justified simply because they are part of a particular culture. So remember that we cannot judge easily because we do not know if such practices are a part of a culture. But by understanding the principles of cultural relativism, we can develop a respectful understanding of the diverse world around us. That would be all for my part. Miss Kubilia will then introduce us to the next topic. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. I'm Shane Mary Cubilia, and I'll be discussing the proponents of cultural relativism. It is an important concept that promotes the value of cultural diversity, tolerance, and understanding. This approach encourages us to view cultures in their own context rather than through the lens of our own values. These are the reasons why proponents support cultural relativism. Next slide, please. The first one is respect for cultural diversity. Cultural relativism emphasizes the importance of respecting and appreciating cultural diversity instead of imposing one's own cultural values into others. It encourages understanding and acceptance of the uniqueness of each culture. The second one is avoiding cultural imperialism. This one refers to the imposition of one culture's values over another, which can suppress local practices, beliefs, and traditions. By embracing cultural relativism, we avoid this harmful power dynamics and allow different cultures to thrive on their own themes. Okay, next slide, please. The third one is the understanding cultural practices. Cultural relativism can help researchers to understand and analyze the diversity of human cultures and the ways in which cultural practices and beliefs influence human behavior. And the fourth cultural relativism proponents is avoiding ethnocentrism. Ethnocentrism is the tendency to view one's own culture as superior to others. It can help to avoid cultural relativism can help to avoid ethnocentrism and promote a more objective understanding of cultural differences. It fosters a mindset where all cultures are seen as equally valid rather than ranking them based on one's own cultural norms. The last one is cultural preservation. As globalization continues to spread, many traditional practices are at risk of being lost. Cultural relativism can play a key role in preserving these practices by encouraging respect for cultural traditions, particularly those that might be endangered by external influences or dominant global cultures. Next slide, please. I will now discuss the critics of cultural relativism. Critics argue that cultural relativism can be problematic because it sometimes overlooks universal human rights and moral standards. Here are some of the criticisms. The first one is universal human rights. Um, Critics of cultural relativism argue that there are certain universal human rights that should be respected and protected, regardless of cultural differences. These are the right to life, freedom of speech, and freedom of religion. The second one is the moral absolutes. Critics of cultural relativism argue that there are some moral absolutes that apply to all cultures, regardless of cultural differences. There are universal moral principles. Examples are against murder, rape, and torture that should apply across all cultures. And cultural relativism shouldn't be used to excuse such acts. Third one is ignoring human suffering. By focusing on respecting culture, cultural relativism might prevent action against harmful practices such as female genital mutilation and honor killings, which cause significant harm to individuals. Next slide, please. The fourth critics of cultural relativism is the promoting cultural hegemony. I'm so sorry. Critics of cultural relativism argue that it can actually promote cultural hegemony, where dominant cultures impose their values and beliefs on minority cultures, which dominates one culture over others, reinforcing power imbalances and inequality. Lastly, is justifying oppressive practices. Cultural relativism can be used to justify oppressive systems like slavery and apartheid, defending them as cultural norms rather than challenging them. And this concludes our presentation, Culture and Morality. Thank you for learning with us, and that's all. Bye.